Hi, I'm Logan, and I will be analyzing the D-Day plan, planning the impossible. So, the D-Day plan took place June 6, 1944. It was the largest amphibious invasion in history. It was very high risk, and it was also very high reward, with the ultimate goal of liberating Western Europe from Germany. I will be focusing on Omaha Beach, which was one of the 5 landing sites during D-Day, and it was the most deadly site of D-Day. The objective at Omaha Beach was to establish an 8-kilometer bridgehead between Port Anderson and Vire River. And I will be using a SWOT analysis to go over the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats of this plan. The strengths here, the large numbers of troops and resources that were available to the Allies were key to their success. And the naval support from battleships and destroyers provided perfect covering fire for the Allies as they advanced. And the sheer determination and training of the soldiers played a key factor in their success, along with continuous reinforcements as they advanced up the beach. The weaknesses, there were many weaknesses to this plan, such as the bombings that took place right before the landings. They missed the key German defenses, which was very detrimental to the Allies' advance on the beach. And there was very poor coordination during the landings due to bad weather and rough seas. They didn't really land where they were supposed to land. And the Germans had very strong defensive positioning and weapons, which was very helpful for them to be able to hold down the beach for as long as they were able to. The lack of cover on the beach provided the Germans with easy target. The opportunities of this plan allowed the Allies a chance to break through German lines, which would open a path into France for their advance. And the Germans were also not prepared for the exact timing of the attack, so they were not able to fully prepare for what was to come. And success at Omaha Beach would allow the Allies to link with the other 5 landing spots that took place on D-Day. The inherent threats of this plan, though, were high casualties due to the great German defense, and also risk of total mission failure if things at Omaha Beach went south. And here I'll be using my IPM analysis to identify the risks, prioritize the risks, and mitigate effects. So identifying the risks on the beach. Well, the German machine guns, the German cannons, the German tanks, the barbed wire on the beach, the mines, that all really help them. The weather and the rough seas posed some threat to them, and the high exposure on the beach was very detrimental. And prioritizing the risks, the German defensive positions were of highest risk because they were very strong, very lethal, and they led to majority of the Allied casualties on June 6th. At medium risk is the failed bombardments of the Allies the night before, as if they were to not have missed those key targets, it would have been much, much easier for the Allies to advance on Omaha Beach. At lowest risk, the disorganized landing. It played some role into some casualties, but it was not nearly as detrimental as the others. And here, mitigating the effects. To mitigate the effects of the missed bombings, there was continuous naval support from the gunships and destroyers that would fire upon the German defensive positions to assist the Allies as they advanced. And the continuous reinforcements allowed the Allies to continuously charge up the beach and slowly overwhelm Germany. And the soldiers were also able to adapt on the ground to their environment, which helped them advance on the beach as well. I don't know what I just did right there. Where the plan succeeded and where the plan failed. So here I'll be using my PIAO analysis that goes over the players, the information, the action, and the overall outcome of the plan. So here we got the players, the US troops and the German defensive. So what worked for the Allies and what didn't work for them? Well, their strong leadership, and their well-trained troops eventually led to the success of the invasion, and the sheer determination of the U.S. troops allowed them to persevere through even the roughest conditions and push through to victory. And the weaknesses here, the well-positioned German defense made it very difficult for the Allies to advance if they hadn't underestimated the strength of their positions, and the extreme lack of cover once again on the beach was not good. The information each side, or the Allies had. The Allies had intelligence on the location of German defenses and the nature of these defenses, although the Allies did greatly underestimate the strength of the defense. So what worked here and what didn't? Well, the Allies knew where the German defenses were positioned, so they knew the weak points and they knew the strong points to avoid, and they targeted the weak points. And well, the weaknesses again, the Allies just underestimated the abilities of the German defense, and they charged to their death. To the action, well, the night before, the air bombardments came down to destroy key defenses that would allow the Allies to push through with less risk of death. And the Allied troops landed on Omaha Beach in continuous waves throughout the morning as they slowly advanced up the beach. What worked here and what didn't? Well, the strength. Continuous waves provided continuous reinforcements, which just eventually overwhelmed the defense. And units were also able to adapt as they moved up the beach to their environment because they couldn't really stick to the plan the whole time. The weaknesses here, due to bad weather the night before, the bombers were not able to actually hit most of their targets that they wanted to. And there were poor coordinations during the landings, which led to a few casualties as well. Overall, the outcome of Omaha Beach was fully secured after hours of fighting, and there were a very high amount of American casualties, over 2,500. What worked here and what did not? Well, soldiers were eventually able to push through German defenses and secure the beach after hours of fighting, and they linked with other units to secure the full beachhead on D-Day. The weakness here, the plan nearly failed due to poor execution at the start, due to missed bombings, poor landings, underestimated defense, even just bad weather, but ultimately they were able to persevere through things, although with a very high casualty count on the day. So the final rating of the plan, I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars because it didn't fail, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't necessarily the plan itself that led to the success of the Allies. It was more so the soldiers themselves and their abilities to adapt on the battlefield to the fighting conditions.